Let's talk about what gets us fired up about a new game. What's up, Brew Crew? Welcome back to Beer City Board Games. I'm Clay, and today I wanted to talk about things that catch my attention and get me excited about a new game. This topic's been on my mind recently because we recently went to Origins, and in just a few weeks we're going to be going to Gen Con. And I've spent a lot of time going through the previews for these conventions on Board Game Geek and looking at which games are coming out soon that I'll be interested in checking out. Now, I will be doing an anticipated Gen Con releases video prior to leaving for Gen Con, so I won't be covering any specific games in this video, but I thought it'd be interesting to talk a little bit about how I choose which games I want to check out. So one of the first things that grabs me about a game is the artwork. And I have to imagine that's probably pretty similar for a lot of folks. People always say that you eat with your eyes first, and I think that's definitely the case for me when looking at new releases. If I see a game with beautiful artwork, especially if it's by one of my favorite board game artists, which I'm sure is a list I'm going to do someday, I'm very likely to stop and check it out. A game with art from Andrew Bosley or Kwanchai Moriya is very likely to pique my interest. Games' artwork and production is one of the easiest ways to grab people's attention because it's instantaneous. It requires no research, like a lot of other things that I'm going to talk about on this video. This isn't always foolproof, though. There have been plenty of games that have not looked appealing to me at all, and I've ended up playing them and loving them. Xylotar comes to mind as a recent example. And that can go both ways as well. Beautiful games have fallen flat. But generally speaking, a beautiful game is more likely to catch my attention and get me interested. Another thing that's likely to get me to stop and pay attention to a new game is the theme, especially if it's one that I haven't seen done before. Now, a lot of my favorite games tend to have a pretty common theme, admittedly. Usually something with farming or the Renaissance or the Industrial Revolution. Most of those games I love despite their theme rather than because of it. But seeing a theme, especially a well-implemented theme that is unique, definitely makes me so much more interested in checking out a game. Now nature games are a dime a dozen, but when Photosynthesis and Wingspan first came out, I was super intrigued because I hadn't seen very many nature-themed games at that point. And similarly, I love when a game takes a familiar theme and puts a cool twist on it. Euphoria is one of my favorite Stonemaier games because it takes a dystopian theme and puts you in the place of the people in charge, basically trying to keep your workers effective but stupid. Other games that I think do this really well are The Bloody Inn and The Last Will. I guess with all this being said, there are still some tried and true themes that I still get excited about. I'm a big fan of campy horror movies, and so anything with a horror theme is going to catch my attention. I also tend to love games with an Age of Sail theme, but it's been tough to find one that I also end up loving the gameplay. There are a few that I really like, but I'm still looking for that perfect pirate game. Or would somebody just rework Merchants and Marauders already? I also check out the game's designer. I love finding games from new designers, but if I hear that there's a new game coming out from Martin Wallace or Stefan Feld, I'm definitely going to want to take a look at it. There are a few other designers on that list as well, but I'm sure that I will end up doing a favorite designers list at some point in the future, so I don't want to spoil that too much. And probably the biggest thing that will get me fired up about a new game is its mechanisms. Now, this is a list that I have already done, so I will link that in the description below if you'd like to check that out. But if a game has multi-use cards, dice drafting, or dice worker placement, I am much more likely to be interested. I also love seeing lesser used mechanisms in games, like the Cube Tower, the Mancala, or the Resource Wheel. And something that kind of goes hand in hand with the mechanisms of a game is asymmetry. I find that if a game has very asymmetrical factions, I am super interested in trying it out. I love games like Root, Merchant's Cove, and Hegemony because I love the fact that we're all playing the same game, but we're doing so in very different ways. Even if a game doesn't quite take it to that level, just having variable player powers definitely turns up my interest meter a bit. So those are some of the things that I look for when I'm checking out new games and deciding which ones I want to give a closer look to. But I want to know, what's something that gets you excited about new games? Is there something in particular that when you see it, you think, oh, I've got to have that? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, let's get another round for the table.